Hi there, I'm Shannon Jeffries. I'm a drill designer. I've been writing shows since 2004, programs of different ability levels, competitive desires, and budgets from all across the nation, anywhere from Northwest Washington down to the Florida coast. A couple of years ago, I was given an opportunity by Tim Hinton to appear on a podcast for the Marching Roundtable. And that podcast was simply entitled Drill Designer's Advice to Band Directors to Improve Their Fall Program. I'm going to put a link down in the notes underneath this video. If you want to go listen to that. I believe there was 12 different designers on 3 separate podcasts, maybe 4 separate podcasts you can go and listen to. Well, this is a little different web series I decided to plan. It's really about improving the quality of your show design. How to improve your relationship with your drill designer, or if you are your own designer, how to improve the end product. My viewpoint on this is I'm usually the last person in most cases to get any input into the show and how it's designed and how it's ultimately done. We'll talk about that in the next slide, but I want to get to a couple of things real quick. First off, until I get better with video editing software, I'm doing this in one take. Joy. So expect some ums and ahs, and I'm sorry about that. Also, this is going to be multiple series involved, multiple parts. I'm going to try to put a part out every couple days. So subscribe, like, and follow. So you got to hit a little bell icon on YouTube to make sure you're notified when future portions are out. This whole series, I'm doing a follow along type scenario where there's some things you can download to see if they work with your own program or with your own designer. So let's talk about how have you approached design in the past. So the typical breakdown. This is why I feel that approaching this from the mindset of the drill designer, the last person, is vital. Usually the music's selected first. Sometimes now the visual's selected first. So I'm going to do the next part. So it's one of the two. Either we get a visual theme. Let's say visual theme blue, because I'm wearing a blue shirt. And it's a common show. People will do a show about the color blue. Brapsine blue, Blues in the Night, C-Jam Blues, all sorts of things with blue. All right, they got their show, they got their music, they'll go hire a ranger, they'll go find stock charts, then they'll give the audio and the scores to the auxiliary people. They'll come up with their routines and their flags and their equipment choices and all that stuff. Then anywhere from 1 month to as little as 1 day before they need drill, they give it to the drill designer. Here, make us happy. And I can see notes and go, not going to work, not going to work, there's going to be problems, or this is going to work great. So I want to take that thought process, and when I get notes on how to improve, to ultimately get you a better product at the end, regardless of who you designer or if you're designing yourself. So let's talk about past issues. If you're watching this video on improving your design, so you've obviously had some past issues. Now, I won't go anything into detail on this. I might explain a couple things, but I'll do it in future parts. So past issues, guard staging issues. You probably hear that all the time on tapes. Drill's too hard. I can't teach this, it's difficult. Too much, there's too many pages. Unclear instructions. Now, unclear instructions, that's definitely your drill designer's fault. So let's talk about this. Is it really the drill designer's fault? Me being the last person in the process, your previous drill designer being the last person in the process. How much time did they have to study scores? Brief example, was there voice staging issues? If they only had a couple of days to look at it, there might be issues there with getting the score a little later than what they would like. Did you ask them to write in a certain way? If you asked me to write like mid-90s cadets, while I love what Jeff Sacktig writes, I'd write nothing like Jeff Sacktig. You would be disappointed. But a more real-world example is I get asked frequently to write a style of a local college band. Now, I can follow that pacing of that show where there's an opener, there's some auxiliary features in the middle, and there's a closer. I have no problem doing that. It's just a flow, and it's easy. But if you expect my drill to look like their drill, it won't, because I'm a different designer. I have different brush strokes to my canvas, which is a football field, than that person does. Did they overwrite? Overwriting, most people think, well, my drill designer overwrote it, but there might be a reason why they overwrote. Did you ask for specific drill, prop, or auxiliary staging demands? And it didn't work. Maybe they changed the count structure of the props demands. Maybe there was a reason why they had to. We'll go into that, especially in the future when we talk about props. I will give an example of a show where props work great, and maybe a show where props were more difficulty, or I might have to create one where there's some difficulty. And lastly, Were all the above demands logistically sound? And this is usually right here. Were the above demands logistically sound? That's where most problems happen. And we're going to discuss about a process where we're going to try to eliminate as much problems as possible before the first dot is on the field. So what is the solution? It's real simple. It's to plan. You got to plan your show. I'm going to drag this back over where you can see me better and I can see you better. Not really, but I'm no longer looking to the side. So the solution is to plan. It's a pretty obvious one. But I will tell you that over the years and many conversations with many other designers, drill designers, that we typically get involved at the last minute. And at the end of the day, we all feel like our job is to make everybody happy. We're trying to put out the best product possible. No designer on the planet is going to sit there and go, I'm going to write this piece of junk and send it to them. We're trying to write the best product with what we're given. Now, there's some things you want to ask yourself before you go to the next part, which is how I get the process going. It might work for you, it might not, but what I like to do to start planning. So you got to know your program. You got to know the training level. Do they march well? Do they dance well? Do the flag spin well? Do they have indoor experience? Same thing with percussion. Do they have indoor experience? Because that might affect the type, what you can do during the fall. Competition level. Are you non-competitive? Are you going to BOA, US bands, etc., etc.? Because each one requires a different type of skill set and a different type of design. Slight little tweaks. Rehearsal schedule. This is huge. If you're not happy with the drill because it's too difficult and there's too much of it, but you're only rehearsing outside twice a week for 1 hour, but you ask for 40 to 50 pages, well, guess what? Every drill is going to be too hard because that's not enough time for 40 to 50 pages. So realistic demands there. That's kind of an example of what we're going to be talking about in this series. Also, the experience of the design team and staff. That's a little less noticeable at first, but we'll talk about that later on, especially when it comes to turn like planning transitions, equipment, and how that affects staging. We'll talk about that later on, probably a couple parts. Know your wishes. Do you want just a halftime show? And that's not meant to be offensive. It's not just a halftime show, but I will ask a, let's say, potential new client, what type of show are you looking for? I just want a halftime show. Well, that's great. You want a more competitive design. You need to go back, know in your program, know where you're going to. That'll affect the design. What's your long-term plan? I think this is vital, and I think it's the thing a lot of people, especially, not to knock anybody, but younger directors will tend to miss this. You go to a new community, they're not competitive. You want to go more competitive. And you throw a competitive show out on day one. Well, your students are going to push back because the show's harder. Your parents are going to push back because the kids are getting asked to do more things and there's more time involved. Administration might not be that happy with you because they're getting complaints about Sally and Johnny practicing until 7 o'clock at night. See what I'm going at. So knowing your long-term plan will allow a designer, any designer, the ability, any arranger too, to start at like one type of like level and slowly but surely progress to where you want to go to. So there is a next part to this series, and I'm going to explain it. There's going to be some Excel sheets involved. I recommend download those if you want to follow me. You can use this with your own program. You want to think about doing this. So I'm going to try to do this whole series over the next 2 or 3 weeks before I get in my heavy design season. Also, there's going to be a questionnaire file. You need this questionnaire file because there's a lot of things that are missed, which usually involves me calling directors, hey, I need info on this, this, and this, or where it's like, no, we're going to make this decision later on, which doesn't affect the design of the show, even though I've already designed the show. Also, if you download this, is this not really the type of how you think or how you organize your thoughts, you might just want to follow along and adapt to your own structure. So let's talk about the one download. The first one is this test right here. This is test part 1. I think it's going to be called designer flow sheet. And all it is a flow sheet that I use, and I'm going to try to use examples of sheets that I've used in the past. There's measures, counts, letters. I'm going to discuss what I do with those on the next video. How this is the basis for all future planning is a spreadsheet. Where we're not talking about artistic intent, but we're talking about logistical intents to make sure what we want can happen without trying to infringe on somebody's artistic vision. All right, so if you download these, hit subscribe. Make sure you're following, which is a little bell icon. Like if you like the video, and I should have another video out in a couple of days, so you'll get notified when this happens, and we'll go on about planning the show through this right here, a spreadsheet, and how that can be very beneficial for all parties involved. To that, have a good one. I'll see y'all later.